Mark, back to you then, and give us an update on common purpose colors here with the billionaire family business, but we're talking about the U.S. election.
Yeah, of course, big money plays such a huge role in U.S. elections. And pretty soon, not today, but pretty soon I'll be looking into connections with big money and polling organizations, as well as ownership of the voting machine companies, the companies that produce the machines that count the vote. Those are all things I'm looking into. But anyway, the billionaire family business. This is a report. 50 billionaire clans have already spent over 600 million on the 2024 U.S. elections, mostly to preserve their own fortunes. And moving on from there, this comes from Tada Americans for Tax Fairness, describing itself as a diverse campaign of more than 420 national, state, and local endorsing organizations unified in their support of a fair tax system that works for all Americans. ATF is a project of the new Venture Fund, a 501c3 nonprofit organization, which means it itself is tax exempt. And I'll just note, just for clarity, that the head of that venture fund, he does have some connections with the Clinton family, which is ubiquitous. The Clintons pop up here, there, and everywhere. Anyway, there is some merit to this, though. It just needs an objective look. Just 50 billionaire families have already injected more than 600 million, as noted, collectively into the crucial 2024 elections, with that number sure to show accelerating growth in the final 6 months of the campaign. These billionaire clans, interesting words, donated this money mostly to political parties, political action committees, and outside spending groups, including super PACs. And this is as of May 9th. These numbers are as of May 9th this year, offering further proof that the nation's richest families consider democracy nothing more than a commodity that they can buy. The country was really founded as a republic, not as a direct democracy, and that's actually part of the problem. They kind of overlook that. But anyway, this is the latest in a series of billionaires buying elections from Americans for Tax Fairness. They get a lot of their info from Open Secrets, which is a very legit organization, I might add, Mike. I went to one of their seminars in 2012, approximately in DC, and they were very good in a very nonpartisan way at showing the way money influences politics in the U.S. Anyway, some of the findings of the Americans for Tax Fairness study, this current study, are as follows. The 50 billionaire families who had injected the most money into the political system as of May 9th donated the 600 million to these entities I mentioned. Over 2/3, 69% of the money has been in support of Republican candidates. Less than a quarter, or 23%, has backed Democrats, and the remaining 8% cannot be classified on a partisan basis. Even among these top 50 spending families, donations are highly concentrated. The top 10 family clans, including prominent conservative families like the Kochs, the Mellons, and the Waltons — Waltons is Walmart — have contributed over half, or 359 million, over half of that 600 million. The 50 billionaire mega donor families in this study are collectively worth over 1 trillion, meaning that the 600 million they've spent on politics only equals 0.06% of their total wealth. The equivalent donation for the average household would be about $100. So these 50 billionaire families alone have the political spending capacity of over 6 million ordinary American families. An interesting statistic, that's for sure. And this is just a chart that outlines it a little bit more. Readers can freeze the screen if they want to study it in depth. But all the red ones are Republican donations out of that 600 million. Americans for Prosperity was founded by the infamous Koch brothers, spelled Koch. 41.8 million for Make America Great Again, which is Donald Trump. So all the claims that Kamala Harris is beating Trump in the polls kind of runs against the grain, where a lot of this money is going not to Democrats, but Republicans. So there's something to sort out there that I'll be working on in the next few weeks. A little bit more from Americans for Tax Fairness. Billionaires can impact elections through unlimited contributions to so-called dark money groups that don't reveal their donors. Sometimes those groups that receive the money can only have a letterhead and a P.O. box and not even have a physical location, and yet they'll rake in billions of unaccountable money. The free spending of billionaire families is only possible because of a broken campaign finance system, as this group sees it, in their opinion. Reform of campaign finance rules to outlaw unlimited political contributions that give billionaire families an outsized say in the political process is being called for. Also, the enacting of special taxes on billionaire wealth is being suggested. They believe that's a good idea, or at least all the income from their wealth. And there's also a call to strengthen the estate tax to curb the growth of economic dynasties. And a little clip from CNBC gives a little bit more on this. American billionaires spent a record $880 million on the U.S. midterm elections back in 2022. This item is from November of 2022. And as it says here, American billionaires spent a record $880 million on those midterms, which is mostly when Congress and Senate seats are up. Billionaire spending at the time was up 44% over the 2018 midterms, so it's exponentially growing, and it's expected to approach 1 billion by next week at that time, according to Americans for Tax Fairness. They were quoted by CNBC here. While U.S. billionaires poured 1.2 billion into the 2020 presidential elections, their outsized spending in the midterms shows just how much is at stake for wealthy donors of both parties. So money is really steering things here in the States, especially. Not a big surprise, but it's interesting to hear the numbers and the scope of it. Anyway, this last thing, Mike, is a historical item, forbidden American economic history. These things were talked about a lot going back to the 1930s. As he was known, Senator Huey P. Long, he was known as the Louisiana Kingfish. He wrote a book called Every Man a King. He actually called for a national law that would limit how rich a person could get. And I know that sounds rather socialistic. I'm just reporting it for the information about it. People can make their own opinions about it. The middle image is a little bit more on that slide. The middle image is of Father Charles E. Coughlin, the great radio priest of Michigan. I have visited his shrine a number of times. He spoke out about economic injustices in a different way. And then Ferdinand Lundberg, a fascinating author, America's 60 Families. He showed way back in the 1930s and since then how many of the same families then are controlling things even today. So back to you, Mike.
Yep. Thank you, Mark. Thanks.